Hello, 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 hello. Oh my goodness, this is embarrassing live, man. Uh, jeez. Can anyone hear me? Your chat a couple of seconds. This is embarrassing live, man. Okay, let me see. I can hear you, I think. Now we can hear you, Hakeem. Got it. There you go. Alright, there you go. Alright. So I can hear myself. Cool. Alright, so like I was just trying to get to, we're gonna be talking about the fallout from Fusion that was happening this past Saturday. We will also go through your questions and comments. That's obviously not going to happen after what has transpired earlier today. Um, so, for most people that pretty much know what's going on right now, unfortunately, there was a tragedy that struck Las Vegas earlier today. Um, and you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm just gonna try to get my thoughts here, but allegedly, well, not allegedly, it's pretty much confirmed, but a lone shooter who I am not going to reveal his name. I'm not going to show his picture on this newscast because, frankly, he doesn't deserve the attention that unfortunately the mainstream media continues to give him. Fortunately, this lone shooter took the lives of over 50 people, injuring over 500 people that were at a concert at the Mandalay Bay over in Las Vegas, where they usually host concerts and boxing events and MMA events. Apparently, the shooter had multiple rooms and just started laying fire upon bystanders that were just having fun, that were looking to have an entertaining time. All they wanted was to escape whatever they might have been going through and just have a fun time at a concert. And just like that, their lives were severely endangered. And for unfortunately others, they were taken away in an instant. Um, I don't know what I can personally. I don't know what I can add. Give my personal commentary, my personal thoughts on this issue and a lot of issues that seemingly have been going on as of late. It's sad. It's depressing. It's very. It hurts in a way. Um, this has been now reported the biggest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, and seen as though we were calling that, since we were using those same words for the Orlando shooting at the Pulse nightclub last year, for this now to top, and I know that's probably not the best word to use it, but to essentially usurp that is scary. It's very frightening. It's very sad. Um, I'm not here to make this political because, quite frankly, I think people are sick and tired of politics right now. No matter what side you are a part of, I think people just in general are sick of politics. I'm not gonna put any political spin on this, nor does it need it, honestly. Um, who are listening here today? Essentially, I was basically recording Excel videos, Excel matches and segments that will lead into high voltage this month, and I was getting ready to go to sleep. Excuse me. Um, excuse me. Um, I was getting ready to go to sleep, basically. Um, Unfortunately, this was like this whole tragedy was just fresh. I believe around what I was hearing, I saw the multiple clips on social media that had real time experiences of what was taking place, and it hurt. It makes you realize for you to appreciate. It makes you want to appreciate life because we only have one, and for a lot of and I don't know if I have the solution. Maybe we as a whole don't have a solution as to what we can do to stop all this. Maybe it's just life as it is. Or maybe people in general just can't be able to change their behavioral systems to where we can ever be able to be in true harmony. I don't know what we can do. I don't know what can be done to stop this. All I know is that two things. One, trust and gain is probably the worst thing you can do during this time because there are people's lives that were lost or threatened, and there are families of those people that are grieving at this very moment. And to make this country, I do also know that in the first place. Um, all I can assume, I don't know the person. Okay, I don't know the person. I don't know what he's about, nor does that even matter or excuse what he did here. All I can assume is that he was amongst a lot of people. People are going through something in this country that is boiling into its reaching point. It feels like we're reaching to a apex where a lot of things are just going to start boiling into something that we don't want it to be. And I hope we don't get to that point, but it just seems like we're going down that direction. I just want to say my condolences and my thoughts to the families of the victims who were severely injured or unfortunately lost their lives during this tragedy. Um, it sucks that we have to talk about solutions to this problem that will not eventually be solved. You know, you see all these analysts and specialists and experts that are going to talk to you on TV about how we can do this and that, and it's all just political theater to just make us feel like we're a part of something until it fades away, and then we forget about it until the next unfortunate tragedy. But I do want to wish the victims, because those are the people that are important in this situation here. Excuse me. I want to wish those people all the for those that are near the Las Vegas area, in the Nevada area, and even probably near in the West. I'm from California, after all. Um, be safe, stay safe, and honestly, in general, just for everybody around the world, um, cherish your loved ones. Try to spend time with them as much as you can, because you only get them once. You only get to do this once, and after that, it's gone. Um, you know, struggling at this moment. Um, I don't know where this leads us. Right now, the current toll, 59 people are confirmed dead, and 500 plus people, I believe the number was 527, 28, are injured, some of them more severely than others. Um, I don't know. It's beyond me. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to really give at this point, other than just saying that just went out to have a fun time and enjoy a concert, and it was ruined for them in more ways than one, and that's the sad part about it. And that's all I can really say until there's other new information or details about this. I can just really give you my personal commentary on it. Um, so I see a lot of people in chat are giving their condolences, and that's fine. I appreciate that. If you want to give your condolences, you are very more than welcome to on the chat. Um, Hopefully, we can be able to be better and do better to prevent these things from becoming a frequent occurrence. Um, Probably won't, but we can try. Um, but yeah, that's. I just wanted to start that off because I know a lot of people probably were thinking about that and what I had to say about that. If you have any more additional questions about what I think about that, you can probably ask that during the Q&A portion of the newscast today. So yeah. So let's on a lighter note, let's kind of switch now to a little bit of more energetic flow here. So ACW Fusion was this past Saturday, and I want to thank everybody. Okay, I want to thank everybody that was with me despite all the technical difficulties that we went through to get feats with ACW. I haven't decided fully yet, but there will be changes in terms of how I stream, or changes of where I will stream. So we've got until High Voltage, which will be on October 27th, on Friday. You know, despite if anything changes between then, I will try to figure this out to the most effective as I can. But I just want to thank everybody for sticking with me when you guys didn't have to Fusion live on Saturday. We had over 60 people. That was our highest point. We had over 60 people watching ACW Fusion on Saturday night. And I am proud of each and every single one of you guys for making that happen. Because I didn't expect it to almost beat Animania 4 last season. So if I'm seeing 60 viewers watching Fusion, it motivates me, and I can only imagine how many of those people will be there watching Animania 5 coming up in April 18th next year. But that'll be April. But again, I just want to thank you guys for watching ACW Fusion. I had a fun time putting it together, editing it, commentating on it. It was a fun 3 hours. It was even a little bit more than 3 hours, but it was such a good event that you probably didn't even notice. So I want to thank you guys for watching Fusion with me. If you have not uploaded on YouTube at the YouTube Mega Events channel, the entire Fusion Mega Event separated into two parts is now on the YouTube Mega Events channel. So go check that out as soon as you're done with the newscast, or hell, maybe after Raw. But then again, since Raw kind of sucks, but you never uploaded. Well, ha ha ha! Right now, the Fusion Mega Event is being uploaded on VO as well. So that is also a thing happening. So make sure you look out for that if you are a VO viewer as well. But anyways, we're going to go down the main card of Fusion. We're going to talk about each card and the aftermath and what your thoughts about it were. So the opening contest for Fusion was the Cruiserweight Championship. It was Goten, the champion, defended against Roy. A very stellar matchup to open the show, to establish the tone of the night. I had a lot of fun commentating this match, if you couldn't tell. I've been saying this before on Impulse lately in terms of the Cruiserweight division, and I do believe it. Honestly, I do believe it. This is the best the Cruiserweight division has been in quite some time. The depth right now in the Cruiserweight division is pretty strong right now, and the level of competition and talent is spectacular. And this match between Roy and Goten showed you that why. You've got Roy, you've got Goten, you've got Aaron Yeager, you've got Shulk, Ness, Lucas, Dennis, Davis, Takoya. You got all those talents in the division that have different styles, but they do add to the division in its own right. So, if the people in Stanford like to, take advice and tips from me, I would very much gladly be able to give it to them. But nonetheless, Roy is your new Cruiserweight champion, defeating Goten, finally dethroning the Prodigy's title once and for all here. But that would be not the last we saw of Goten, I believe, as Goten later on in the night, still frustrated from that loss, apparently slapped his father, Impulse General Manager Goku, right across the face backstage. I'm sure Goku's going to have a lot to say about that coming up on Impulse this week if he even addresses it. But yeah, a very solid matchup. Roy is the new champion. What that means for the Cruiserweight division at this point is going to be very, very interesting, to say the least. Our next matchup from Impulse as well. Impulse Tag Team titles were defended as Shoryuken, Ryu, and Ken defend those titles against Raycon and Raichild, the White Tigers. Now, if anyone that watched ACW Direct earlier that week, they would know that the White Tigers defeated the Knights of the Zodiac to get the opportunity to go ahead and face Shoryuken for the Impulse Tag Team titles. I also thought this was a very good matchup. A lot of people need to understand this, and maybe old school ACW fans might know this more, but a lot of people wrote off the White Tigers here, and I understand that because it is Ryu and Ken. They are arguably the best duo in gaming history. But the White Tigers were former Impulse Tag Team champions. When it comes to wrestling, they are a traditional, old school, fist in your mouth type of team. They're very methodical in the way they wrestle. They are an old school team, in a sense. So, Roy, still on the Cruiserweight title match. Ray and Rai, they gave Shoryuken a fight. Now, while Shoryuken retained the Impulse Tag Team titles, I did say at the end of that match that I do hope that that we see a rematch, because I would like to see those two teams go at it again, because I feel that Shoryuken were tested here. Maybe a lot of people might not think that as the case, but I do believe that the Shoryuken team was especially tested, and maybe a rematch is down in the future. So who knows? But that's up for those to decide. That's up for the Impulse Tag Team Champions to decide as well. So we move into our third matchup. Our third matchup would be for the Glamour X Championship. It was Reiko Hinamoto defending her Glamour X title against Samus Aran. Another stellar performance from the Glamour X division on the mega event for ACW here. Reiko came here to work. Samus has been in every league that you're probably aware of, from the past and current. Samus is a staple. Tifa Lockhart, Laura Croft, Jill Valentine, Wonder Woman, Princess Peach, Sailor Moon, Sailor Mercury. Samus is among those women as well that really started that era for the likes of Reiko Hinamoto and Juri Sanada and Sakura Hagiwara and the likes of Mighty Yukiko and all those people, those ladies, excuse me, to be able to do what they do today. So with this matchup, for Samus to change her behavior and her attitude leading into this matchup, which started last season, it showed, because Samus was more vicious, she was more intense, she was more aggressive, she was looking like she wanted to end Reiko's career. A talking point we'll get to later, but Reiko was able to retain the Glamour X title in a very good matchup. Unfortunately, Samus was not happy with the result and attacked Reiko after the matchup. And it was a shame, because that matchup really established Samus as a person that still has what it takes to still be the top of the division. But then she does stuff like this that negates her hard work. Long-awaited return to ACW by indirectly saving Reiko and going after the woman that took her out of action last season. Now, for those that know about the episode of Animania 3, so at the very end of 2 seasons ago, and now we are here in 2017, and Revy and Samus are still going at each other, because that's how much heat, that's how much hate these two ladies have for each other. These two ladies cannot exist at the same type of brand. So Revy came back, looking in great shape, looking like she was ready for a fight, and she gave Samus a beating of her life, wailing on her with those kendo stick shots, super kicking her right across the chin, and then dropping her face down on the mat. Revy is now back in Anime Championship Wrestling. And not a moment too soon, because let's face it, just like the Cruiserweight division for Impulse, the Glamour X division for Excel is the best it's been in a while. You've got a lot of new talent. You've got the core 4 of Reiko, Cammy, Asuka, and Ino still there. And you've got a lot of veterans like Samus also there to mold the Glamour X division into something great. So that's going to be, we don't know what that's going to transpire. But I will say this, for those that did not hear the news last night, this upcoming episode of Excel, this week's Excel, it has been confirmed that Roger Smith will be opening the show this Wednesday night on Excel number 78, and the rumor is that this big announcement, he will be addressing something as it pertains to the Glamour X Championship. I have no idea what it is, so don't even bother asking me what that announcement is. All I can tell you from the breaking news that we got is that Roger Smith will be addressing the Glamour X Championship and what that means for that title moving forward at the start of Excel this week. So we have no idea what that's going to entail. We have no idea what that means. But all that means is that you need to stick around and stay tuned to see that go down. And I might as well announce this as well, because this will be announced after the newscast later tonight. But also, Moroku the Monk, who I will talk about later on, Moroku the Monk will be at Excel this week as well. He will speak in the ring. It'll be the first time Moroku has been in an ACW ring since, I believe, last season, the start of last season, in terms of speaking, if you will. But yeah, so Moroku the Monk will also be at Excel this week, and I'm sure we know what he'll dress that as, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So, anyways, match number 4. The Intercontinental Championship was on the line here. Dark Magician defends the title against Solid Snake. Now, this match was personal in the sense that Dark Magician won the title from Solid Snake earlier this year at the ACW draft. Now, Solid Snake has had a grudge and a mean streak about it ever since. So, you would think he would find every way possible to, guarantee himself a chance, a more better chance to regain the title back. So, if you recall the last episode of Impulse before Fusion, 2 weeks before Fusion, Yugi Moto was in the locker room, Solid Snake snuck up behind him. We haven't seen Yugi since up to that point. So, Solid Snake along with Gary Oak had a plan. And I think people notice this by now, that Dark Magician is a very excellent talent, more exceptional, because Yugi is the source for Dark Magician. Had something to do with Yugi disappearing. So Solid Snake used every cheap tactic in the book. The referee being a dumbass throughout this entire match. Chair right on the vision of the referee, seeing it no matter if he was distracted by Gary or not. And then Solid Snake just using every single trick in the book with his offense. You would think Dark Magician might have lost it here. And then Yugi does come back, goes after Gary Oak, takes him out, and with that source being there live, that was all Dark Magician needed. In my opinion, Solid Snake has lost twice to Magician for the Intercontinental title. In my eyes, Dark Magician no longer needs to prove anything to Solid Snake. Solid Snake needs to start at the back of the line and let others now come in to challenge for that title. That's my opinion, but that'll be up to Dark Magician and what he wants to do moving forward. Now, also, after that matchup, it was the XL Tag Team titles. They were on the line as Night Raid, Wave, and Lubach defended those tag team titles against Hibiki Tokai and Kazuki Muto. Now, just like the Impulse Tag Team title match, right? A lot of people counted out the White Tigers. A lot of people thought the White Tigers had no chance. And although they lost that match, they gave, Ryu and Ken the fight of their match, of the fight of their life as a tag team so far. I think the same does apply here with Hibiki and Kazuki, because a lot of people for many seasons have counted out Hibiki and Kazuki as somewhat of a team that was there, but would never think they would reach to the pinnacle that they are now. And it's funny because you got teams like the Get Backers, you got the teams like Team Star Fox, you got teams like Diddy and Donkey Kong even now. You've got even Dan and Chaozu. You got teams like that all around the XL tag team title picture. But it's like Night Raid is number 1 and everybody else is fighting for number 2. It's like a long distance. And that's not a discredit or a disservice to those other teams, but Night Raid are so dominant. Night Raid are so good at what they do that it's always going to be an uphill battle for any challenger to go after them. And I feel like Hibiki and Kazuki gave Night Raid their best challenge yet, in my opinion. Because there were multiple times, right? There were multiple times where Night Raid almost lost those tag team titles, in my opinion. Wave had to attack Kazuki when he was going up to the top rope to be able to save Lubach from not getting pinned, ultimately for a 3 count. I thought Hibiki and Kazuki did a good job in what they had to do to try and fight for those XL Tag Team titles against Night Raid. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Night Raid retained the XL Tag Team titles. Roger Smith earlier in the night told Tatsumi that if he or General Esdet interfered in that matchup, Night Raid would have been stripped of those tag team titles, and Hibiki and Kazuki would have been the new champions. Whatever you may think of Night Raid, Wave and Lubach, they help. They did this on their own. They are the XL Tag Team champions. They are a cohesive unit. They are a strong unit, and that has to be commended for something. So the question is now, what team can stop them? I mean, honestly, think about it. What team out there can truly stop Night Raid and dethrone them for the XL Tag Team titles? We may be in for a long XL Tag Team title reign, and we're already in there as it is, because Night Raid won those Tag Team titles earlier last season at High Voltage, oddly enough. So we'll see where that entails, but I don't know who can really stop, night raid for those XL Tag Team titles anytime soon. And now with them having General Esdeath, it's going to be an even bigger, difficult task. But that goes without saying. Next up on the card, we have Kankuro defending his Impulse Road to Destiny briefcase against Mr. ACW, quote unquote, Naruto Uzumaki. This is a fight. As you all know, Kankuro and Gaara have been tormenting and attacking Naruto for several weeks on Impulse. Naruto came back after being electrocuted by Gaara a couple weeks back to where it almost threatened his career again. Naruto came back with a vengeance, using that bat onto Kankuro and Gaara on the last episode of Impulse before Fusion. So here we are tonight on that episode of Fusion, where Kankuro and Naruto went to war. Okay, and I will say this about Kankuro. Kankuro's always been a unknown factor. You never knew where his level truly was compared to other top stars like Trunks or Naruto or Sasuke or Hiei or Zuko. But I truly believe this match shows you that Kankuro can fight the best of the best. He can fight some of the best talents on Impulse. He can keep up to their level at least. As expected, Gaara appeared as a distraction to Naruto. Naruto tried fighting Gaara off multiple times, but the numbers game was just too much for Naruto to overcome this time around. Kankuro wins the match and retains his Impulse Road to Destiny briefcase. So Kankuro wins the match, but I gotta be honest with you, the clock is ticking though. The clock is ticking. The more that Kankuro doesn't trade in his briefcase, the more he has less opportunities to becoming Impulse champion with an automatic title shot. You know, Animania 5 is on April 18th this season, next year. And I know it seems like it's far away, but we'll be there right as quick as you can think. And Kankuro might not have enough time to do it, because if he doesn't trade it in, then it's null and void. He screwed up on his own there, right? So we'll see what Kankuro's plans are next. We'll see if they matter. We'll see if Kankuro can do anything going to really be a detriment to him, because that briefcase can be a detriment if not used properly, right? So there's that match. Coming up, and then the next match, and this match, I gotta be honest with you. This matchup, we all know what match I'm talking about, but let me just say this. I had an absolute blast doing this match. I had an absolute blast recording this. Obviously, the match I'm talking about is the television championship match between Ash Ketchum and Joe Higashi. Title versus career. Man, that was a match, wasn't it? It was, I can see why a lot of you people were, I can see why a lot of you fans are emotional. Because now that I watched it over again, the fact that I was able to watch it live with you guys on Saturday night and just watching what was transpiring, I can see why you were all emotional, because it was... Because the match quality didn't matter here. And let me just break fourth wall here for a second, because I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I don't care. Let me just break fourth wall here for a minute. I've always been a proponent of, I love a great match, but not every match means, but a great match doesn't always mean the in-ring quality is the best. That can just mean that the story was that much greater that it overpowered the in-ring quality. And I thought Joe and Ash here tonight on this night, first of all, it was their best match that they had in this trilogy. And I'll even go one step further. This was Ash Ketchum's best match in ACW. And I'll even say this too. I thought it was Joe Higashi's own way. I put it against Eren Yeager in their match for the Cruiserweight title at Animania 3. Joe Higashi, I know a lot of people have their feelings on Joe, and trust me, I have them too, and I will talk about them in a minute. But Joe Higashi, it hurts to say now, but Joe Higashi truly is the complete package. You know, in wrestling, in pro wrestling, there's something called the 5 tools of wrestling, and it depends on the individual, right? Excuse me. in-ring quality. Joe Agashi, again, you might not like him, but the dude has it all. Um, but yeah, like I said, Joe Agashi had his greatest match in his ACW career. Ash obviously did. Ash Ketchum gave Joe Agashi his biggest challenge to date. I don't care what Joe wants to deny or not. Um, it was a beautiful match, but more importantly, it was a beautiful story. And it's a story that Ash Ketchum unfortunately is far too much used to, but it was a story that a lot of people related to. A lot of people that grew up with Ash as a child knew what it meant for him to try to win this matchup. You had Moroku the Monk during the matchup come in and be a distraction for Joe Agashi, and people were thinking that maybe that was it, where Ash Ketchum can really beat Joe here. It just wasn't enough. Unfortunately, Joe Agashi retained his television championship, but more importantly, Ash Ketchum. Um, man, I'll say this about Ash Ketchum here. I, like a lot of you, grew up with Pokemon as a child. Obviously, I collected the battle cards, and I watched the anime on TV. I got certain products. I got Pokemon Snap, and I got Pokemon Stadium. I even got those Tamagotchis with the Pokemon Pikachu. And the childhood in me grew more into adulthood. I faltered off with with Ash Ketchum and Pokemon in general. And it wasn't until ACW that Ash Ketchum reappeared in my life. And ironically enough, Ash Ketchum, if you all recall, Ash Ketchum and Brock came in together and were looking to try to change anime to some sort of corporate, watered down version of whatever 4Kids was, Anime 4Kids. And it turned Ash Ketchum into a former Impulse Tag Team Champion as well off of that. Well, after a certain betrayal, being drafted to Excel, he was able to reinvent himself to go back to the old Ash Ketchum in sort of a road to redemption. And unfortunately, his road ended here at Fusion. Um, I just want to say to Ash Ketchum, thank you for shaping my childhood. Thank you for being one of the very soundtracks of my kid adolescence. Thank you for being an inspiration to a lot of young boys out there that felt that they couldn't do it, but then they could if they can just believe in themselves hard enough. I know it sounds corny now, but back then as kids, we all ate that up. So let's not lie to ourselves. We might call it corny now, but we were all eating it up back then. So I don't even want to hear it, okay? And of course, the Pokemon movie. Let's not even get into that. But in here in ACW and virtual wrestling in general, I want to say thank you, Ash. Hashtag thank you, Ash, is what I would say. I want to thank you for everything that you did. And I want to thank you for how you were able to help a lot of people out, in a sense. So I want to thank you. And that should have been the way that image was spelled. Ash taking that one final walk back, and that should have been a moment. Unfortunately, it was completely ruined by Joe Agashi. After the matchup, Joe Agashi actually shook Ash's hand, and I thought, wow, Joe, despite what you may think of him, took the high road and knew what that meant and shook his hand knowing that he gave him the biggest challenge of his career. But I was wrong. Joe Agashi belt shot at him for one measure before Ash was done here, and I was pissed. A lot of people that heard my commentary, I was pissed. Thank goodness there was a commercial after that because I was really pissed. Joe Agashi ruined that moment for a lot of people. And the respect that I have for Joe Agashi is pretty much gone. I still think he's a great talent, but that doesn't really matter to me at this point. The fact that he was able to take out, the fact that he was able to, the fact that Higashi had the nerve to do that when people were emotional and were grieving to see Ash Ketchum leave like that was disrespectful and inexcusable in every sense of the word. And as I said at Fusion, Joe Agashi one day is going to have that karma bite him back, and it's going to be tenfold, and I hope it happens. It's just so you can know how that feels. But Joe Agashi retains the title. Ash Ketchum, as an icon, is no longer with ACW. His career is over. And expect the unexpected. So let's move on to the next match before we get stuck into here. But the next matchup was the Impulse Championship. It was on the line. It was Sasuke Uchiha, the Rogue Loner, defending it against Hiei. Now, as everybody knows, Sasuke defended that title against Hiei earlier this year at the draft. Sasuke won that title from Gohan at Animania 4 last season. Hiei, being the number one overall draft pick, the number one draft pick to Impulse, was able to get that title shot at the draft. Ultimately lost to Sasuke. Hiei, being pissed off, as he always is, because he's always a whiny bitch, always wants to be out at the top of the scene, wanted a rematch. Now, Sasuke and Goku initially refused that rematch, and they had all the grounds to do it, honestly. But Hiei's tactics started to become overbearing. Sasuke finally gave in, and here we are at Fusion. Here's the thing. Before the Fusion week happened on Impulse, Sasuke was brutally assaulted by Hiei, even attacking his injured arm that has been wrapped up for obvious reasons. But Hiei definitely will be the second best match of the night. Probably behind, to a lot of people, Ash Ketchum versus Joe Higashi. Both men went back and forth. It's been a dream match. Hiei versus Sasuke has been a dream match, not just in ACW, not just in virtual wrestling, but also in anime in general. A lot of people have said Sasuke was a modern reincarnament of Hiei and Vegeta put together, so it made sense that these two would eventually cross paths and meet. So you have it here. Hiei almost had the match won. I want to address that, and a lot of people addressed it on the chat here. Hiei had the match won, and yet for some reason went outside the ring, got a chair, and assaulted Sasuke to cause Sasuke to retain the title via disqualification. Was that dumb? That's how much Hiei is despicable. Everybody knows Hiei's history in ACW. We don't have to really get into the semantics and details here. All we know is that Hiei did what he did to Sasuke, and I can tell you, Sasuke be at Impulse this week, I can tell you that that's not going to happen. But what I will say to you is what Goku did say earlier this week and did reinforce at Fusion tonight. That night, excuse me. This upcoming Impulse, Saturday night on Impulse, right? Goku has stated, the Impulse General Manager Goku has stated that there will be an announcement that will address the Impulse title picture as it stands right now. Because if you haven't noticed lately, on recent episodes of Impulse, there have been a lot of people that are trying to declare themselves into title contention. There have been a lot of people that are putting their name into the Impulse World title basket. You know, Sasuke Uchiha is the current champion. He might have knocked himself out of contention after what he did at Fusion, honestly. You've got Kankuro with the Impulse Road Wrestling briefcase on his side. Naruto Uzumaki, always a title contender, a former Impulse champion. You've got Trunks as a former Impulse champion as a contender. Kinnikuman, a legend in his own right, a former King of Elite. He's a contender. Zuko, making his return to ACW on the Impulse brand, making his declarations, has now stated that now that he's on a solo career now, he wants to be a part of the Impulse title picture as well. There are a lot of cooks in the kitchen here. There are a lot of ingredients in the boiling pot right now. And Goku is saying basically that he will address what will happen for the Impulse title. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he's going to go for. But that is what's going to happen. Goku at the top of the show at Impulse number 82. He will address the Impulse title picture. I have no idea what it means, but if it's from Goku, it's probably got to be something monumental. So make sure you tune in for Impulse to see what Goku will be going for here. So we'll see we'll see what happens. We'll honestly see what happens. So there's that, and then finally we get to our main event of the evening. XL Championship was on the line. Akuma, the most dominant XL champion in company history, defended the title against the 2017 King of Elite, the self-proclaimed best in the world, the Full Metal Alchemist, Edward Elric. Now there was a lot of things last season. Edward Elric has had multiple title opportunities and title shots in the past season, and even probably this season, and has failed to be able to capitalize on that. So you have that, and then you also have the Night Raid angle, right? You have Night Raid, Edward Elric, General Esdeath leading the troops of Wave, Lubach, and Tatsumi to do whatever they please under her orders. You know, Roger Smith is trying to gain some sort of order and control among the Excel brand, but Night Raid is continuing their onslaught. So the thing here is that here's the thing. The thing is that complete the 10-year odyssey that has eluded him in ACW. We all know that Edward Elric has won world titles in other promotions and other leagues, but in ACW he has never been able to do that. He has done a lot. Okay, his resume speaks for himself. He was the first ever Road to Destiny briefcase holder. He main evented in Animania, the first ever ACW double champion. He was a multiple-time television champion, 2017 King of Elite. He's done a lot of things, except the one thing he needed to do was win a world title in ACW. But Akuma and Elric went at it back and forth. Elric gave Akuma a lot of what he can do, and Akuma obviously gave Elric a lot of what he can do. It was reaching to his apex, and then all of a sudden, Wave, Lubach, and Tatsumi come through the crowd. And I can't tell you live how intense, how much tension you can cut through a knife that was between Night Raid in the crowd and Elric and Akuma in the ring. Elric and Akuma stopped the action dead set the second Night Raid arrived through the crowd. We reached into a standstill, right? We reached into a standstill. It was like a detente. It was like the Cold War. It was like Night Raid was on one side and Elric and Akuma was on one side. I thought something was going to go down. I thought, man, oh man, something is going to go down here. To the point where even Tatsumi leaped over the barrier. And then General Esdeath comes to the stage. General Esdeath comes on stage. And I thought she was, and I personally thought, I personally thought, and now. That's what I thought she was going to do. But what she does instead is that she calls Night Raid off. Which was weird to me. Because it's been alluded to throughout that entire week. So I thought something was going to happen. And yet Esdeath calls Wave, Lubach, and Tatsumi off. Esdeath waves them off. And Night Raid follows. So they don't do anything here. Which I thought it was weird. So Night Raid leave after Esdeath calls them off. So after that moment of tension, Elric and Akuma went back to action. And I think Elric probably was maybe flustered by that whole thing going down, went for something. Akuma had him on a tilt-a-whirl maneuver, but then switched mid-move and hit him with the brimstone, put him in the darkness pin. 1, 2, 3. Akuma retains the XL Championship to close out Fusion. Well, let me ask this question: why did Night Raid not go immediately after Elric and Akuma? Why did they wait? And then when they were going to do something, or it looked like they were going to do something, why did it take for Esdeath to call them off? I don't know. I honestly don't know. It feels like something's going on here, but I don't know. Esdeath is a very tactical general, obviously. Anyone that knows Esdeath knows what her strategies are at this point. But I don't know this one. Why did Night Raid get called off by Esdeath? And why did Night Raid eventually not do? Going to be answered this coming Wednesday on XL, I would hope. And probably on Impulse as well, this Saturday night as well. So that was ACW Fusion 2017. I had fun. I don't know about you guys. Well, I do. You guys had a lot of fun. Again, thank you guys for watching ACW Fusion. That was awesome. I had fun putting it together. I had fun recording it. I had fun finishing it. I would have wanted to do it on front. I will do my best in the near future to try, and that's my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but that's my opinion. But yeah. So, with that being said, we can finally do this now. It is time now for your questions and answers. This is the section of the newscast that I love to do here, where I like to answer your questions and read your comments on anything, whether it's virtual wrestling, ACW, music, entertainment, politics, movies, sports, anything in general, basically. For the most part, I'll basically answer anything that you guys want me to answer. And, yeah, so we're going to get things started here. Let me see if I... Let's see, is Esdeath going to wrestle in ACW? I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know if Esdeath's going to wrestle. I think her main focus right now is to keep Nia Raid in line and in order to do her bidding, to do what she wants to be able to do with them. So I don't know. I don't know if as that's going to eventually wrestle within the Glamrex division. That's up to her. But if she eventually does, man, oh man, does that division get even more deep and get even more interesting. You know what I mean? So we'll find out. We'll find out if As Death is willing to wrestle. But I don't know. I don't know. All right, let me see here. Why is he such a dumbass choke artist? That's a Sasuke did address this at the start of the season with Hiei, that Hiei to choke at the last second. He called Hiei a failure. I mean, let's be honest. This is Hiei's third ACW brand that he was drafted to, and he pretty much cost himself the match here tonight. I mean, at Fusion that night. So Sasuke, there's a little bit truth to what Sasuke said to Hiei, and I think that might have really pissed off Hiei a lot. But I mean, you tell me where the lie is in that. Let's see. Are you watching Raw? No. I'll read the results after the show's over. Probably watch clips that I'm interested in or something. But no, I'm not watching Raw. They haven't deserved enough of my attention to give them a rating or give them any of my money right now. But let's see. Will Ikumi gonna seek Soma again on Excel? Yeah, it's interesting. Soma and Ikumi are on the same brand, but they have not interacted yet. So when that interaction eventually goes down, I'm going to be very interested to see how either one of them reacts to one another. Opinion on King JJ. That's right, King JJ, this Saturday night on Impulse, he will be making his long-awaited debut on ACW Impulse this Saturday night. That was announced at Fusion that night as well. So we will see what King JJ is finally up to, the so-called Pride of Canada, the most elite skater out there in the world. We're going to find out if that skating training translates into virtual wrestling. But King JJ will make his debut on Impulse this week, so make sure you all tune in for that as well. Honestly, it's gonna be a big week for ACW in terms of Excel and Impulse. So you guys might want to keep your eyes peeled or whatever. Championship belt you created. All right, those two questions. One, all right, I've been alluding to this in many ACW episodes lately this season about what the difference between a Frankensteiner, a Hurricanrana, and a head scissors takedown is. All right, so I might as well address this now, right? Okay, a Frankensteiner, right? A Frankensteiner is a linear Hurricanrana base. A wrestler does a linear vertical Hurricanrana with no swaying of the movement from the person that's given it. That's basically what a Frankensteiner is. A Hurricanrana basically is a Frankensteiner with circular movement, with circular motion, meaning you're doing a Frankensteiner, but you're moving around to nail that modified Frankensteiner in a sense. And a head scissors takedown is basically an inverted Hurricanrana. It's basically you're just using your legs more violently to twist around the neck and snap it down on the mat. With the Hurricanrana, there's more finesse and flow, but with the head scissors takedown, it's more quick, it's more direct, and it's more snap. You know what I mean? So that's what the difference is of a Frankensteiner or Hurricanrana and of the person given that type of move to their opponent. So I'm glad I finally addressed that, because I've been alluding to that, saying I would explain it, but I never have. But there you go. So, speaking of your second question of what was my favorite title to create this season, I guess you're talking about. In my own way, I like every title that I did, but I really do think the Glamrex Championship is my favorite one I did. I just like the way it came out. The way I was able to abuse the NXT front belt design and make it into a Glamrex title belt. I thought that was pretty dope. So I think the Glamrex Championship is probably my favorite ACW title that I've designed so far this season. But I think the television title is a close second to me, in my opinion. Because to me, and I'm a big fan of boxing. For those that don't know, the television title looks like a boxing title to me. So when Joe Agashi holds that title around his waist, it looks like a boxing title to me. I don't know why, and that's probably the motivation as to why I developed it the way I did with that. But yeah, so there's that. Um, which match from Fusion was the hardest to record and edit? Ooh, I know people are gonna say Joe and Ash, but honestly, that wasn't difficult. It was just more time consuming, but it wasn't time consuming in a bad way. I had fun doing it though. I had fun putting that together, and obviously that paid off so well with the way you guys reacted to that. I think I'm thinking about all the matches now. I think the most difficult one. Okay, I think I have two answers. The most difficult one that I did was one point, so I needed to make that match look really good in what it needed to do, and it took like maybe one or two re-edits, but eventually I got it down to where I wanted to go. So yeah, that was hard to record in that sense, but it came out good anyways. And then I have because I'm gonna break the fourth wall here again, but there was a lot more content. There was a lot more material from that tag match that wasn't shown on the final draft of Fusion. There was a lot more good stuff from that match that I just couldn't put in or wasn't trying to put in because I was already strapped on time with this being over 3 hours anyways, so I couldn't fit that all in. So it was condensed to a shorter version. Um, but yeah, that was hard to record because I had to pick the best stuff, put it together, but it just wasn't. It wasn't as precise as I wanted it to be. It was still a great match and it's in a good sense, but it just wasn't. I just wasn't. I could have done more with it. Let's put it that way. If I hadn't been strapped for time, I would have put more into it. Let's put it that way. Um, if you were a fan of boxing, how pissed were you at the Canelo Triple G draw? I actually wasn't pissed about it. First of all, I want to say this: Canelo and Triple G had a extraordinary, fantastic fight that night. That was the real fight of the year, not freaking Mayweather and McGregor. Canelo and Triple G had a great fight. I figured it would be a draw because Canelo and Triple G went back and forth so many times in that match that it could have went either way. And quite honestly, it was such a good fight that I could see the promoters wanting to do a rematch in the near future, which alleged that which reported rumors are saying they're already going to do that anyways. The IBO, I believe, are requesting a rematch between Triple G and Canelo. So my brother, I was watching with my brothers, and one of my brothers, Jukin, for those that are old school ACW fans, Jukin basically told me he called it. He said that there would be a draw. Period. The second the fight even started, he said that there would be a draw. Where that was going to go, and I knew it was going to go to a draw. But that one strong jaw. I like his boxing style, but him getting a 118 out of 10, really, nah. There was no way any judge was supposed to give it that much of a wide margin for any of the fighters. It should have been as close as it should have been. But and I can go into why that was the case, but I won't do it here. But anyways, I enjoyed the fight, and I really don't have a problem with the draw. Because I expected the rematch along with Jukin, so yeah. So I can't be really mad at that. 3 is confirmed, so that's awesome. Food Wars begins tonight. That's the show with Soma Yukihara and Ikumi Mito. Familiar with it as you're watching Soma and Ikumi in ACW, but Food Wars starts tonight, and I will be watching that this week. There are other new animes I'm going to be watching. Black Clover looks like it's getting a lot of hype, so I might check that out. What else? What else was out there? I don't know. Like those are like. I mean, those are the two that I've seen that interested me. Oh yeah, sorry. What was it? Senkai Gorin. There you go. What is it called? Like Battle Blood Blockade or whatever. That the second season's coming out for that. Battlefront or whatever. I'm gonna watch that one too because I enjoyed this first season, although it was a little slow at the start. But I'm gonna watch that too. So yeah. Um, Floyd versus Connor was. Oh, I couldn't. Damn, couldn't read that. Sorry, dude. Um, I had the Teen Titans before, so I mean anything's possible. Although the reason why the Teen Titans were gone, and I said this many times anyways, was because, and this will actually kind of allude to your next episode of the ACW 10 Rewind, which will hopefully come out this week. If not this week, next week. But it'll come out within this week or next week. But the reason why I got rid of the Teen Titans basically was because I was starting to grow as the league was growing. I wanted it to be truly an anime centric league with certain gaming icons and characters sprinkled in there. And I thought the Teen Titans being there made no sense to where I wanted ACW to go at the time. So that's why I got rid of them. Um, but then again, I have Zuko and Aang, so it's like Core not Core would being there would be no issue with me. It's just got to make sense. It's got to be where they would fit. It's got to be where they would go and fit. You know what I mean? Um, what do you think of the anime Ruby? RWBY? Yeah, I'm not really a RWBY fan per se. I know that there's a lot of hype for it. I know there's a lot of ways that people watch that, and I don't judge them or anything like that. It's not for me personally. I see a lot of leagues use them, which is fine. By the way, shout outs to ACL. I'm enjoying them in his league. By the way, if you haven't checked out ACL, go ahead and check that out. It reminds me a lot of a lot of ACW in the past. So just go check out his channel and league. But anyways, yeah, not really a big fan of that. Have you ever seen Izetta the Last Witch? Yes, I have. I watched that last year, or was it last year? Yeah, I watched it last year. For the most part, it was a good anime. I thought the ending was a bit weak in terms of what it was hyping it up to be. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid anime for what it was. So for that, so I thought Izetta was fine. As a matter of fact, do I want to spoil it? Do I want to spoil what I want to say about Izetta with ACW? Nah, nah, nah. I'll keep you guys in the dark. Maybe later on. um, Honestly, I feel like Zero should be reinstated with ACW. Your thoughts? Hell no. Now, granted, it's not my decision. Either Roger Smith or Goku will eventually sign him, but even I think Roger and Goku, especially Goku, are not going to be signing anybody that was affiliated or involved with the Jiraiya Saiyan Alliance. That's definitely not going to happen, at least not on Goku's end. Roger Smith might be a little bit more easy because he's more about business, but I don't think Roger Smith would want a repeat of that happening on Excel, so hell no. And personally me, I don't want anybody from the JSA back. The fact that we still have the likes of Hiei and Goten and Salt Snake still in this company and Choji and, Zuko still bothers me, but at least the core cancer is gone from ACW. And also, just saying the final thoughts about it. I will post it. I just haven't had the time to really final draft it and edit it to a more suitable post or note for Facebook. But trust me, it's coming. Just be a little bit patient, okay? Floyd versus Connor wasn't a boxing match. It was a wrestling match with fake race war tensions. Yeah, that was basically it. But it drew money though, so I guess it did its job there. What music are you listening to right now? In terms of specific genres, I'm listening to. Well, look, I love hip hop. Hip hop has always been my first love. It's something I will always go back to, even if it has its periods and moments where I'm completely disinterested and completely shut off from it. I'm enjoying it right now. But you got hip hop. I love jazz too. I'm a big fan of jazz. I used to go to a lot of the local jazz live concerts around here, in Sacramento, but I haven't been able to lately. I need to start doing that again, actually. But yeah, I love jazz. Certain rock music, certain alternative rock, maybe I listen to. I'm actually a good fan of techno, which you probably could tell maybe from certain music that I use with ACW related programming. I like some techno, a little EDM, but not a lot of EDM. R&B, obviously, gotta have my R&B. I'm a lady slayer, dude. I'm a lady slayer, man. And even country, there's certain country songs that I can even tolerate now. I know the cool thing to do is hate on country, but I can even I used to hate country too, but now when you're growing up older and wiser and you see things from a bigger perspective, country isn't as evil as you would think it was before. So yeah. Um, have you watched The Legend of Korra, Hakeem? Yes, I have. Um, yeah, I watched Korra. I mean, yeah, it wasn't as good as Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it was good for what it was. You know, apparently all that anyone can talk about these days when it comes to Korra is the ending between her and you know, why am I blinking out right now? Asami. There you go. Yeah, Korra and Asami. Yeah, so which is whatever. I didn't really have an issue with the ending, just because you kind of could tell that's where it was gonna. Were you surprised when Andre Ward retired? Yeah, I was a little bit because Andre Ward was finally getting his stride. He was starting to get a little bit more shine, a little bit more fame towards his belt, and then he just suddenly. Because boxing, just like football, is a short life. It's a short career. You get your money, save it, and get out while you can when you're still, you know, supported for money. Let's see. Man, this is going fast. Hakeem Lady Slayer Johnson. Oh man. Do you watch the NFL? Oh boy. And look, I know you were trying to be slick because you knew where I was gonna go if I was gonna answer this question. But fine. I still watch the NFL because it's still Broncos country here. But I've lately found myself disinterested in football, and not because of what you may think, although that does play a big part of it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you real quick because I haven't really given my full thoughts on what's going on with this whole NFL political. My thoughts here, simply put, are I'm tired of it. That's basically where I stand. I'm basically tired of all this political messages and political grandstanding on my football. It's not that I disagree or agree with what they're doing, although that can be said for another newscast maybe. But they have that right to do that. But let me not get into that aspect. What I'm saying here is that I'm tired. I want to watch football. When I watch football, when I watch wrestling, when I listen to music, hell, when I even do ACW, I do it to escape what's going on in the real world. I don't ignore it, but I do it to escape it temporarily for a couple of hours. My forms of entertainment and escape, that's when it starts to become an issue to me. I don't need Bob Costas every Sunday night at halftime trying to preach to me any political messages, whatever side from the left or the right may that be. I don't need ESPN trying to be now CNN in terms of reporting about this whole thing when you're supposed to be talking about sports and the highlights and the scores. I don't need this whole media pandering because that's exactly what it is now. I feel like this whole hashtag take a knee stuff has now jumped the shark because when Kaepernick did it, despite whether I agree or disagree with the reasons of why he did it, at least when he did it, it was for a genuine reason because he truly believed it. But now it seems like everybody is trying to jump in on this to extend their 15 minutes or to gain attention for themselves rather than the supposed cause that they're standing for. Like I'm seeing Jerry Jones take a knee. I'm seeing Jerry Jones take a knee like he gives a shit. He's only doing that just so he cannot make himself look bad. I'm seeing stupid ass Ray Lewis take a knee and then explain himself. Oh, I wasn't taking a knee. I was just praying. Shut the fuck up, dude. Let me go to task on Ray Lewis real quick. And I'm not gonna use the language I want to use here. But there are certain words like sellout and Uncle Tom and coon that are used a lot against black people that maybe necessarily don't agree or don't abide to the conventional standard that a lot of blacks eventually do. Like when they disagree with other blacks about issues that they would feel that they would agree with, but they don't, they somehow get called Uncle Toms and what have you and all that. And I've been called that too because I have a lot of opinions that you would be surprised that you wouldn't expect me to take. But and I've been called that, or they couldn't argue with me about it. They have to insult me, but that's neither here nor there. But that word gets thrown around a lot as just a way to say, "Oh, I'm going to silence your opinion. I'm going to disagree with you." A lot of black SJWs like to use that to try to silence criticism, but my thing here is though, it to people like me that are just disagreeing with you when you should be saying it to Ray Lewis. Because, sorry, folks, I'm going to use this word here, and I'm sorry that this word has been bastardized now to where it makes it seem like I'm saying it for a different reason, but it applies here with Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is doing some coonish shit to me. Shannon Sharp on Undisputed earlier last week, I believe, and Shannon Sharp, Broncos fan here, but Shannon Sharp said something that I agreed with him. He called out Ray Lewis for his cooning, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to attack the predominantly black players doing this movement to try to reject his own race to appease others. Okay? There's a difference between disagreeing at your own benefit at their expense. I don't like using those words because they've been bastardized and quite frankly they're outdated in a sense, but if you're gonna use the word coon correctly, then it applies to Ray Lewis. I think Ray Lewis is a person that has gotten lucky throughout his entire career and that has gotten a lot of undeserved praise and gratitude from a lot of the sports media and Baltimore media and NFL media and a lot of other players and coaches and staff that have worked with him throughout all those years. Instead of, Ray Lewis wants to, or first degree murder. Maybe you should pray for that. Maybe you should pray for the fact that the only reason that you care about all this religious bullshit that you like to portray yourself to be is because you have a guilty conscience for what you did that night. Maybe you should address that situation. But you won't. And the reason why you won't is because you've got a lot of people that you have to answer to in the media that you do their bidding for. So, there's that. Okay? There may be things I disagree with people on when it comes to this take the knee approach. There may be things that I disagree with them on, but I'm not going to sit here and say they have no right to take a knee. They have every right to take that knee, just like you have every right to stand for the flag and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I've seen all these dumbasses burn all their memorabilia and jerseys and season tickets when the smart thing you would have done is sell them for a big profit. But being stupid and being reactionary gets you to be doing stuff like burning your flag, not your flag, but maybe that too, but burning your jersey and your memorabilia. Like, how stupid is that? How dumb could you be? You know what I mean? So, anyways, sorry, I didn't want to go off a tangent on that, but that's my thoughts on that whole thing. Maybe on a different newscast I might go into even more detail, but that's my thought there. Let me get back to the stuff here. Brandon Cuevas, let me see. The MLB playoffs start tomorrow. To the World Series this year. I'm gonna be honest. I think I've addressed this before. I'm not a big baseball fan, although I'm not opposed to watching an arena or anything. But I just compared to football and soccer and boxing and wrestling and basketball, baseball's not really one of my top sports I follow, let alone care for. I would like to see the Cubs make a 2-for-2, though. I would like to see that. Because even the Cubs winning made me watch the finals last season. So, favorite match you ever called, Hakeem? There are a lot of oh wow. Favorite matches that I've ever called in ACW. I think one of them has to be, honestly, I think one of them have to be Naruto vs. Gohan, Animania 3, Last Man Standing. I think my commentary there was pretty legendary in that sense. What else? What was also my favorite question? I mean, sorry, what was also my favorite match to call? I think this recent match between Sasuke and Gohan in Animania 4 was also a favorite of mine, just because of the story and where that led to. I I'll even name you I'll name you a match that is underrated though. That I had fun calling. That a lot of people probably don't know about too much, but should watch. Last season victory: Rei Hinamoto versus Cammy, one-on-one number one contenders match for the Glamrex title. I had a blast calling that match. I had fun. Reiko and Cammy, I need to address this too. I don't know if people have noticed it except to me, but Reiko and Cammy, every time they wrestle against each other, they have great chemistry. I just went back a couple of months ago looking back at certain matches between those two, and for the times that I've recorded them and put it together, they've had great chemistry with each other. I mean, when in terms of like rivalries, I mean Sailor Moon and Ino, those would be the top, ladies that you would say would define Reiko there. But I think in terms of pure in-ring chemistry, I think Cammy definitely has to be on top there. Now, granted, Reiko has to wrestle other people in the near future. You got your Revies, you've got, she had a stellar match with Samus, you got Jury Sonata inevitably. But I think in terms of a standpoint, I think Reiko and Cammy have some of the best chemistry in that division. And that says a lot. And how she's the standard bearer, the flag bearer of the women's wrestling movement in virtual wrestling for ACW. So that says a lot. And I think that needs to be more commended on their part. But yeah, that was another match that I had a favorite of calling. Jeez, what else, man? What else? Let me see, what else? Man, those are the ones that usually come up when people ask me that question, though, so. Always ignore my Neo Yokio question. Oh, yeah, okay, I saw that question. I think you said what were my thoughts on it. Is that the Jaden Smith anime, right? I'm assuming that's the Jaden Smith anime you're asking me about. But if that's the case, it's whatever, I guess. The animation looks pretty cool. But I saw the trailer, and I could clearly tell Jaden clearly didn't give a fuck. He was clearly there to do it. He was clearly there for to see, where that goes or here and there. But am I gonna watch it? I don't know. More likely, maybe not. Depends on the interest. I don't know. Um, it's tied with flushing food and drinks down the toilet. I don't know what that means, but I need to address that whole meme. And I think I said this earlier on Facebook this year, but I am completely disappointed with the memes this year. They've mostly been trash. They've either been trash, they've either had potential, but mainstream media co-opted it to where it was no longer cool, or it didn't make sense to where it could. I really have. And one of those memes is like, I guess this whole trend about throwing away your best foods and drinks in the toilet is fucking stupid. Because first of all, that's just gonna clog your pipes anyway, so you're gonna have to pay for that stupid. And then two, I don't find any emotion towards that. I just think of it as that's stupid, and just keep scrolling. I don't know, man. It's dumb. You know. I think the only memes was pretty decent. I thought he was pretty cool, but I'm hard pressed to think about any memes out there that I particularly enjoy. It's been a weak year for memes, probably the worst one yet. And that honestly is because a lot of the mainstream media just like to co-opt memes and like to co-opt the cool thing, not knowing how they work. It's so cringe. But there you go. Let me see. In TAW, it's at its biggest event, Riot Central 2. The main event is Frieza versus Liu Kang. Who would you like to win? By principle and by nature, Liu Kang, because fuck Frieza and fuck the JSA. Shout out to Joshua, though. TAW. Hashtag Hakeem for Hall of Fame. Well, Jeff Jarrett supposedly isn't going to put his own stuff in the Hall of Fame. Oh, wait, he already did, didn't he? Yeah, that Hall of Fame doesn't even mean anything anyways. But if Vince can't put himself in the Hall of Fame, I don't know how that would even go about, but I know strange things have happened. Let's see. recovering from those injuries from Samus last season. She's been quite the popular female talent in other leagues. CCL, DCA, you know, AWAC, a lot of these other leagues that are using her. So it's good to see that Revy still has a an outlet to do that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, Revy's back, so that's just only going to make the Glamour X division even more interesting this season. That really ignited for the inaugural match in Animania 3. That's Ino Yamanaka, Kami, Azuka Kazama, and Reiko Hinamoto, the current champion. Those are the core four. Ever since you've had the likes of Samus, you've had Revy, you've had Juri Sanada, Mighty Yukiko. You got Ikumi Mito, who is not only the assistant apparently to Roger Smith, but a Glamour X competitor as well. You've got Deanne, obviously the giant for Ino. There's a lot of interesting things that go into the Glamour X division. They've got it's only going to get bigger, but that's just me. Do you have any particular dream matches in the CAW community? So, come back to me on another newscast and I'll probably be more prepared for that question. So, apologies. Did Ryoko ever get back in contract with ACW at all? It has no purpose being in ACW. Will she ever come back though? There's always a possibility that she'll come back, but that was her primary reason why she was in ACW in the first place. It was to stop the JSA. So now that the JSA are pretty much done, Ryoko has no reason to be there. But will she come back eventually? It's open for Ryoko, in my opinion. Revy's not in CCL. Okay, I apologize then. I was thinking of another league. Let me see. What do you think of NCAA football? Well, I used to really watch college football in a sense, but I've kind of fell on the wayside on that. I don't get into it as much as I used to. So that's unfortunate. Maybe eventually someday in the future, but right now it's not in my current plans. Let's see, how much longer do you see Deanne sticking with Ino? It depends how long Ino continues to pay Deanne to stick with her. I mean, she is her insurance policy, so I will assume as long as Ino continues to give Deanne security and money, she'll be there for a while. But I don't know. Depends on who needs who more. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys 5. Any questions that you want answered or any comments you want me to read, get it in now between the next 5 to 10 minutes. And after that, I will be done with the newscast here tonight. And in terms of when will the next newscast be, probably assume that it'll be in 2 weeks. If not next week, it'll definitely be in 2 weeks. So, but yeah. What do you think of NHL new team Vegas Golden Knights? Again, I'm not a hockey guy, so I couldn't really give you an answer for that. But that's good. That's good for Las Vegas. I mean, they kind of need some good news right now, so that's good for them. I'll say that. In your opinion, outside of ACW, who do you think is the strongest CAW? In terms of original CAWs, maybe I think the likes of Casey Gordon and Ray Geddes are like OP, and even to a sense, Malik's done lately, and fuck Dante Styles. Let me see here. And also, and then in terms of the fantasy side of CAW, of who's the strongest, I mean, you can go with Superman, Goku, Saitama, Broly. I don't know, Mario. They're all the usual suspects, basically. What do you think about my talk with Ash after what happened to him at Fusion? Talk, huh? I'm not sure what you and Ash talked about specifically, but I'm sure Ash needs all the support that he can get because this is it. I mean, Ash Ketchum is done. Um, and I want to just say with that match though, I that match took me like a it took me like a day, almost a full day to complete. So like I had to save a full day for that match because I wanted it to be perfect and I wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, so that when it came out, you guys would react to it the way I wanted it to be. But yeah, man, what a match. Thoughts on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? Even knowing that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had more characters. Isn't I heard Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite's right now not doing so well. I heard it's had lower than expected sales right now, which is always a testament to how shitty Capcom really is. And then I saw the DLCs for that game, and I was like, it's like, hold on, let me see. Let's see. I haven't done this in a while. I need to do specific. It is Capcom. It is more than warranted. I need to see if I can still do this laugh here. Let's see. All right, I still got it. There you go. The newscast laugh. I haven't done it for so long, so I need to start doing that again. But that was definitely deserved for Capcom, because Capcom is really shit. Um, Sakura's recent rise this year in DCA. Well, Sakura's recent rise is no surprise to me. She's one of the prominent women talent going today in virtual wrestling. Has been gaining a lot of traction for herself past couple of years, this year in particular. And then Jerry Sonata, Jerry Sonata, a international superstar all over the world, wherever she's been. Um, Obviously a prominent player in SCA with Joseph Matos. Finally coming into ACW obviously has made a huge impact. So her being in DCA doesn't surprise me either. Should be a very stellar matchup. Should be a pretty solid match between those two, because those two, I believe, have met with each other before in SCA too. So it's not like they won't be familiar with each other. They know what they have in store between one another. So it's been a great year for those ladies, honestly. So and it just goes to show you that virtual wrestling was always ahead of because we have to give credit here to leagues like VWF and SCA here, because they were the first leagues out here that really gave a platform and gave a showcase to female wrestlers in virtual wrestling that a lot of other prominent leagues, including my own, didn't. Like if anyone ever asks me, right, what are one of the faults that you ever had with ACW? One of them would always be that I wasn't quick enough to really do a women's division. That I wasn't effective enough to really install a. Every time I tried it, it just was either time constraints or it was just something that wasn't in the priorities of what I wanted to do with ACW at the time. But the likes of Freddie J. Francis with VWF, and then Joseph Montes with SCA, they did a stellar job promoting female talent, some very known and a lot even unknown to a more mainstream call audience. They deserve all the credit in the world. Without those two, that virtual wrestling with women's wrestling would not be as prominent as it is today. You got the queens of, you got the the Q3 tournament going on right now. The Glamrex division right now is at its peak. You've got other leagues out there, the Lioness division with ACL. You've got UCCW's women's division, the SCAW women's division out there. You've got, a lot of women's wrestling when they are available. CCL's women's division. There's a lot of things to be really surprised with. A lot of things to really be happy about when it comes to women's wrestling and virtual wrestling. And it's a testament to virtual audience to say, hey, we're giving you this, eat it, and like the taste of it. We don't have to do that. It comes organically. It comes naturally with us when we do it. It's not like the WWE or a lot of these other wrestling companies right now that are late in the game here that didn't or wasn't able to capitalize on a lot of women athletes out there being the draw during the Ronda Rousey era of sports. And it wasn't until after the fact that it was starting to decline a little bit that they started realizing, oh shit, we've got a lot of great women talent that we can really use and put out there. But the way they went about that, even anyways, was that they were trying to push it down your throat saying, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what you like it, Sasha versus Charlotte, number 15. If you don't like this, then you're a sexist, then you just don't like women. It was an insult to that audience. Whereas here in virtual wrestling, we have no reason to do that. We can just put that out there. Like, say, we can just do a main event. A main event. We can do a women's main event for one of our main programs. And no one's going to really react like, oh my god, they're pushing it down my throat. Oh my goodness, they just want to get this over. It just comes natural with the territory. When we're doing an all-women's tournament or an all-women's rumble or, an all-women's event, no, none of our audiences are going to really balk at us for being pandering, because we're not being pandering. We're just trying to showcase that there's a lot of female talent that are as equal, if not greater, than the men talents out there. But we treat both genders with respect and equality, so keep that in mind. But so it's my little bit of a updated rant on that whole thing. But I think virtual wrestling was on the ball. And certain virtual wrestling cliques and groups will try to be contrarians and try to disagree with this. Fine, that's their opinion. In my opinion, virtual wrestling was on the ball. Virtual wrestling was the one that tried to put this on prominence, whereas pro wrestling, for the most part at least, was behind the curve. That's my opinion, and that'll always be my opinion. So, there you go with that. Alright. In the future, which Call Wrestling Fed do you want to cross over with, Hakeem? I'm not really available right now to do any crossovers with any leagues, except one, as I've stated before. Obviously, that would be SCAW, because we're both right now into our 10-year anniversary season, so it would only make sense that me and Lone Star would do something. I'm up for it. It's up to Lone Star if he would like to do some sort of collaboration. It's not to be it's up to him. But other than that, I'm not really going to be doing a lot of crossovers this season. I kind of want to focus on ACW and the 10 years that we're trying to do some special stuff here. So yeah. So, but in the near future, as long as it makes sense, obviously SCAW, CCL, DCA. Obviously, the usual suspects that you would usually know. So, a lot of those leagues I would like to do business with in the near future. But all right, I think that's gonna do it here for the newscast here tonight. I think I've gone about 2 hours. I wanted it to be a lighthearted, short episode of the newscast, but with what happened in Las Vegas earlier today, I kind of wasn't gonna happen. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching the newscast today. I want to thank everybody for joining us for another live edition of the newscast. Excel will be available this Wednesday night. Hopefully, it'll be available this Wednesday night. So, there'll be a lot of big stuff happening. 2DK, Donkey, and Diddy Kong will be in action. Roger Smith will have a Glamour X title announcement at the start of the show. There'll be a lot of fallout from Fusion, so that's going to go down. For Impulse this Saturday this week, it'll be Go can make an announcement on the Impulse World Title picture. And King J ACW, I will try to have the ACW 10 Rewind out this week. If not this week, it'll definitely be out next week. And the ACW Web Match Series will start this week as well. These are basically non-canon matches with no commentary, or unless for a special reason, there will be commentary from different voice commentators other than myself. So the web matches will start on VidMe this week. So look out for that as well. So you'll be getting a lot of ACW content this week, is basically what I'm trying to get at here. But yeah, other than that, if you have not watched ACW Fusion yet, if you have not been able to watch ACW Fusion yet, make sure you go watch it. It's right now available to watch both parts on the YouTube Mega Events channel. You guys have already made that a big watch for all of us, so make sure you guys go ahead and watch that. Other than that, our next that'll definitely be interested. So this week's episode of Excel will start that built high voltage. So if unless I'm missing anything else, that'll do it for the newscast this week. I want to thank everybody for joining me live here as always. Thank you for rolling with me, listening with me, and with that said, I'm going to end it here. So thank you all very much for watching the newscast. Sorry if I kept you away from Raw, but probably you are thanking me anyways. But again, if you haven't watched Fusion, go ahead and watch